All right. Back at it. Okay. Welcome back to my stream. I'm just going to go ahead and tweet out real quick that I am going to be doing it. Part 2. So, I think I've got my idea figured out. And it's kind of a doozy. So, just going to put that out there. I see I'm on stream. So, let's go back to it. 80s IT guy RPG. That is what I've come up with. I should say, totally inaccurate historical account of what it was like to do IT work in the 80s. So basically what I'm going to do totally inaccurate. I mean, I was born in the 80s, but I wasn't alive in the 80s. So what I'm going to do is make kind of like a decision, like an RPG decision tree type thing, kind of like a tycoon game or an RPG. I'm not really sure if it's simulation or RPG. I'm just really not sure what to call it. But what I want to do is make it so that essentially in the 80s, you are living in your parents' basement and let's say a relative dies and you get some money and you decide you're going to go into technology. And so everything, basically what you're going to do is make decisions that will lead you down different paths to different IT careers. And essentially, I'm not sure what the goal is going to be yet, other than just to progress in your career. Maybe what the ultimate goal is to sell your IT company that you start and make it big and sell out to another company and retire rich, whatever. Alternatively, well, no, the alternate, the opposite of that then, of course, is don't get fired, right? Oh, hi, welcome back to Geeky Bachelor. If you're back, I'm not sure if that's from before or now, but so the idea is not to get fired, right? Or not to lose your job, or basically become kind of like the Office Space magazine salesman guy, right? So obviously there's going to be a lot of tiebacks to old technology and things in it. Not maybe by name, but just by reference or whatever. And that I'm not really sure how it's going to totally come out. One thing I've struggled with already is the 80s ITR guy thing, just because the gender, like I have a daughter. I want her to be able to, have accessibility in games. So I think about it. I think some of my characters have been female. And not that I think it's a big deal, but it's somewhat important. I'm not going to get totally crazy, weird liberal. I'm not going to get into politics and all that crap. Anyways, but I want to be able to have a male or female character. So that's one thing I was thinking about. And I was just thinking about it, just females in the 80s, not like I want this to be the case, but just by a mere fact, it would be a harder mode, right? You'd have a harder time getting jobs because of, different things and like that. So part of what the whole thing is which technology decisions you're going to have to make are which technologies you pick to invest in. That's one. Gender is one thing that, like I said, will affect, where you can go in your career and how it plays out. So there'll be some decisions or things that picking that might affect, like there might be greater risk in doing it, or it's harder to do things, but maybe the reward is better, maybe there are some benefits to it that you don't protect. And versus being a male, maybe there are some benefits that you have, just natural benefits to progress or something like that. There's no glass ceiling that. So regardless, anyways, so aside from that, I think that's going to be a decision. And then we get into, okay, so your grandparents or someone dies, you get money. All right, you're living in your parents' basement and you're going to start your IT career. So what you're going to do is then you have to pick kind of like a technology to start. And so there's going to be, you've got a certain amount of money, and there's maybe, you go out and you're going to buy a piece of tech. It'll be a computer. Just because IT, it all revolves generally around computers. Obviously, later you can buy peripherals, but you need to have a computer to buy the peripherals. So there will be, you basically have the option of picking. Okay, you can get something that's equivalent of like PC, a very ubiquitous thing. There's a lot of peripherals you can buy for it. There's a lot of jobs in it, but they're lower paying jobs, and so maybe that affects things later down the line. Having the parts, the physical hardware around, maybe there's benefits to that. Maybe that will save you because there's things. But those pieces are cheaper and it doesn't matter. Whereas later, other decisions the hardware that you pick might affect that, right? So then you go there's kind of like a second tier, which would be kind of like your Apple-based computer, which is out there. It's common. People will actually use it, but maybe it's less common. So maybe there's some niche type things to it. There's benefits and drawbacks. That's the mid route type road, and then there's the kind of out there. Think of it like Digital Equipment Corporation or something. You go for like a fringe computer. And like there's no jobs, but if you do find one, they're high paying, and the hardware itself is maybe more expensive. But if you could maybe save the day with some of the hardware that you have by being like, well, I've got that thing. So then there's that. One thing I was thinking about is natural knack. So with that IT, maybe you've got the natural knack for programming. Or soldering. So these are like skills, right? Soldering, telephony, networking. So these are kind of like the tracks that you might. So maybe you take these are more like skills you can develop. Like you could maybe one of the first decisions you pick of what's like, it's like a card you get, like a natural knack for programming. But you could build up your soldering skills and just start off with a general oomph, in programming printers. I don't really know what else there is. Probably lots of other stuff. Security, maybe. I don't really. I mean, 80s is kind of like, or 80s. Gaming? I don't know. There probably some sort of like natural knack you'd have anyway. So there's some different things that maybe like operating systems, OS software usage. So you're good at dealing with OS related issues, just general hardware issues. I don't know. So these are basically like areas that you can gain experience in by doing different things in the IT space that might lead you down different paths, right? So hey, you do some you choose to do some programming tasks, and that will gain experience in the programming space, and then whatever. So one of the things I'm kind of realizing with this is that it's very much like decision based. There's not a lot of graphical things to this. The ancient technology fits in just that you're dealing with that time period, right? Telephony. Sorry, I gotta fix the reg squigglies because OCD, right? Peripherals. Okay. So anyways, so some sort of like, you got a natural knack for things. What you spend your money on. So money will be a resource that you'll have to spend wisely, right? Money is a resource. These are resources you have to choose to spend, right? So there's resources. There's money, time. So prioritization, which is a little different. So let's say you're in a job and you get a call from the CEO that said, "Hey, I would like a new one of these big ass retro telephone, things." You could choose to go and service that, spend the money, buy the budget of the IT department to buy that telephone, give it to your CEO. Maybe that helps your career, maybe. Or maybe there's some sort of competing thing that comes in where it's like, well, the server's crashed or this person's computer's crashed and they're a marketer. And now I'm not sure, I'm not sure how this simulation is going to play out. Maybe I'm thinking of too many variables. I'm just brainstorming at the point, obviously. But maybe the server over here's crashed, and now you need to fix it. But you maybe spent all your budget on this stupid telephone. Decisions, right? That's what all of this is about. And so prioritization of tasks is really a not really a resource, but something that you have to be aware of. Maybe these are more concerns. I don't really know. Decisions. Prioritization, tech to invest in. So you go and resolve an issue with telephony. So telephone related issue, you gain experience in that. So now you've got telephone experience, and next time that comes up, there's a better chance you're going to be able to resolve one of those kinds of issues. However, that comes at the expense of picking to go down a different route. And I'm not sure how this will all play out, but so then you might have to maybe spend some of your budget to get a consultant in to fix, a programming type issue. So that, if you find that, okay, well, I work for this kind of a company, maybe there's some tactical advantages in the company you're working for as an IT person to doing one particular thing or the other, but maybe there's some strategic advantages for long-term goals, like, okay, my plan is to actually start a company that's telephone related and sell to a telecom or something. And so I want to spend as much time as I can in telephone. Now you risk losing your job if you run over your budget. So those are the kind of decisions I think are interesting, right? So there's this personal, what you're doing is career advancement versus, weighed against, weighted against, you're kind of like company well-being. And some of those things can kind of play because if you do a poor job, you might not get a good review and you might have to kind of backtrack a little. You've got great skills in telephony, but nobody will hire you because, your boss basically said that you totally screwed up on some programming thing you were going to do, right? I think there's a lot that you could play with here. Tabeakle Bachelor. I really don't know how to say that. Bachelor. I'll just call you Bachelor. Thanks for watching again. I appreciate it. So maybe there's some sort of anyways, career advancement versus advanced. Well, this is the third and last beer that I have, so I apparently am not doing very well here. Advancement, weighted against the company well-being, which could affect your overall career advancement. But the ultimate goal is to probably advance your career as an IT guy in the 80s guy, used in the, gender neutral. I actually Googled, is there a gender neutral? I don't know if I should care. Really? I mean, you called them the IT guys, right? Anyways, what was I thinking now? Anyways, so that's kind of what you got to go. So you maybe there's some sort of thing where you pick. So there's some strategic things that you have to pick, which are, do I pick this technology, buy this technology, buy this technology? Do I learn this skill, this skill, this skill? Then there's more tactical things. Do I within my company that I'm working for, these kinds of request tickets have come in. Which ones do I actually address, right? And how I address them based on what kind of company you're working for and all that stuff will play into it. It feels like a very ambitious game, but it's a lot of thinking about the simulation of it. It's not so much generating the content. Now, I'm not. The thing is polished like that. If you look at it, look at a game like Game Dev Tycoon, which is one of the things I was kind of looking at to kind of think about this. So the Game Dev Tycoon, really, it's just a text-based adventure game. Well, not all, but basically, it's kind of like a. Oh, interesting. Anyways, it's like a text-based adventure type game. It looks graphical, but you're not like you're not controlling these people moving around and saying, "Hey Joe, how's it going?" and moving back over here. You're the boss down here. These are your workers, and you just kind of advance your game company by choosing different things that you do, and that plays out in simulation, right? So. And stuff like picking which technology. This is some of the influence that I'm trying to draw from for this, IT guy, 80s IT guy type thing. So thematically, ancient technology is just, hey, you're an IT guy in the 80s. It's a totally unrealistic historical account of it. Because I don't really know what it was like to be an IT guy in the 80s, and I'm not sure I really am going to be able to frame the technology correctly. I'm going to totally disclaimer that if I say that there was a this kind of floppy disk and that didn't come out until 92, well, I don't care, right? I'm just going to make up the technology terms. They're going to be influenced by things. It'll just be like, hey, time period type stuff, right? Anyway, so there's not a lot of graphical stuff there, but you can get some polish just by putting some ambiance around the fact that you're doing this kind of tech-based game, or this kind of menu-based decision, very, very much decision-making game, where positional stuff in the world maybe doesn't matter so much. It's just basically what's going on. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about doing. 80s IT guy RPG. I don't know if RPG is the right term, but let's go with that. So, the question is, where do I go with this? Now, it's funny because I just put a physics engine and everything in my game, and it's like, I got all this stuff, but really I don't need any of that for this kind of game. Which is funny how Ludum kind of just takes a turn for it. It'll be interesting where I end up going with it. I'm thinking that what best to be doing is to build kind of like a console interface, just temporarily at least, to flesh out the actual gameplay, and then so spend like day one tomorrow working on that part of it, and maybe a little bit tonight, saying, okay, here's the things that you need to know. How does this play out? How does this feel to play this kind of game? What kind of decisions, things come up? And then the second piece of it then tomorrow, will be just fleshing out the whole experience. How do you win the game? How do you lose it? In that kind of console experience. Then Sunday would be, okay, take that, what is console experience, take those decisions, take those things, and create visuals and audio and create an experience around it where it maybe brings you back to the retro feel. You've got some sort of 80s type feel to it. But at the same time, it's just there to make that feel. It's not really a element in the game. I think that's how that's going to play out. So, wish me luck, right? This feels very ambitious, but maybe it really isn't. I'm not really sure. I've not done this style of game before, so it'll be very interesting. Like I said, I'm not sure if RPG is the correct thing. You are kind of role-playing as a IT person in that realm. We'll see. So, yeah, you know what? I'm just going to start. Instead of going off the one I've created before, I'm going to go and create a new repo quick, just so that if I do need to save it, I have other computers where I could do this kind of work, so I don't want to lose my work while I'm going. So I'm just going to go LD36 sandbox, maybe, or prototype, whatever. We'll just call it sandbox, and say part 1 of LD36. Simple idea testing, whatever. And why do I even need to do this? What am I doing? A waste of time. MIT create repo. Good. And we'll just clone this down quick. So I'll probably not really, probably just gonna put some music on and really hammer this out, which it's funny if you do music over your live stream, Google will kind of like say, hey, you can't do that. Let's take this out of this, and they will kind of blacklist you or your things. So the first time I actually streamed my last Ludum Dare development, and what happened was they took it down immediately because I had Pandora going in the background with some music on it. So I'm not going to make that mistake again. But I'd like to just kind of sit in and focus on this, and so I think it was kind of fun to just kind of throw the idea out there. Let me know what you think. Feel free to comment on this. So it was fun. I'll probably not be on again tonight. I think what I'm going to do is work a little bit, just enough to get my mind thinking about where this can go. I'm going to go to sleep and let my subconscious do the rest. Tomorrow morning, wake up, spend the whole day, like I said, working on just how this idea play out in simulation. Then tomorrow, then the day after, Sunday, take that and say, okay, I need to create an 80s ambiance. I need to bring in images of the 80s, apply those to, different technologies and things, build sprites around that, little animations and stuff to make you feel like you're transported to that kind of period of ancient computing technology. Again, totally not historically accurate, because who has time for that anyways? Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. I really am hoping that you will come back. 4 people just randomly watching me, and check out tomorrow morning and tomorrow as I flesh this out further. Have a good night, everyone, and wish me luck.